They have those eyes that can do crazy random stuff and just go off. And I also feel like you'd be aware that in a very large cone out of their main eye, they can make an anti-magic field. So I'll just say that.
Oh. I actually didn't know that they could do that. That must be
What
a
do you
5e
mean
thing.
anti-magic field?
I mean,
As
you can't
in,
cast magic.
within a cone of where they're looking, all magic is negated. That includes your magic items. Any magic items you have while in that cone are mundane. They lose any properties they have. But with that, like if a fireball were or a firebolt were to fly into the cone, the second it entered the cone, it would dissipate. So being inside an anti-magic cone also kind of protects you from outside magic in a way. But
Is that a passive kind of a thing? That it's just always on?
each creature is different. I'm not going to give you too much. I believe so. Allow me to look that up, but I believe so. Yeah.
Or maybe you just. I think what happens is it just becomes a mundane object. It just becomes a bag. So all your stuff is still trapped in the dimensional space.
Correct. Yeah. So how it works is it negates because the bag itself isn't actually holding anything. It's just a portal inside the bag to an extra dimension. So it prevents that portal from being accessed in or out of. Is
Right.
what the answer here is.
You lose access to all your stuff.
Yeah.
That's actually an interesting way to, like, in the future, make a really super secure safe. Is by turning the safe into like a bag of holding and then placing an object next to it that temporarily disables magic. No one would ever know.
So as we all get loaded in the background and the distance of that large cavern area you guys left, while the fire cackles inside here, and you guys remember all their names? Do we need any caught up? Anything? You guys remember what happened to this point?
Can I get their names again, please? I'm terrible at names.
Yeah, Serene Noir right here, Serene Aur, and then Sel Itami.
Tell Tommy. Okay. He's gonna be the one I'm not never gonna remember.
He turns and he's currently working in the fire, actually creating a meal for you guys. As in the distance, you hear the continuous like noises of magic and condensed energy, and the slicing of flesh, and a very large guttural coming from the purple worm in the distance. And you can hear like the howling and chattering on, mixed with some of the squeals of scared from the Katoas. And as he turns to you guys, pulling this pretty quickly made, just heated up they're not like super sauteed or anything. Bowls. You see Serene Noir turn around, and his tunic kind of begins to turn red, as if from an open cut on the inside of his shirt. And he looks down and frowns at it, passing off the bowls to Celatami, who then starts passing them out. And he walks over, taking off his tunic, and opens a small box he has over here. And when he does so, you can see a box full of blood-stained rags. And he takes his tunic off, reaches down, grabs a relatively clean rag, and begins patting. You can see all along his torso and body, it looks like stab wounds and slices and cuts, and it looks like they're continuously some of them are scarred, but for the most part, although they're not bleeding, dripping blood, they're very, very slowly oozing blood, and it appears like he's maintaining them as if they just never stop bleeding, kind of deal.
I want to walk over to him and say one of the very few words I know. Help?
He looks over you and with a really gentle look in his face, shakes his head no, and continues cleaning his wound.
Does the druid or the drow seem to be concerned? Showing any signs of concern of what's happening outside?
The young drow seems to be constantly looking towards the door with eyes wide, like he's almost like a scared cat. Like he's very tuned in instinctually to his surroundings, and he's very aware of it. But it's a juxtaposition to the complete and utter calm of the Furbolg, who seems like it's just not really bothering him. What is it's just a thing happening.
I want to turn and ask Boogie, can we help him? I have lesser restoration. Oh, so he's incurring these wounds because he's hiding everybody?
Or because of the fight going on outside? That's a really interesting thought, LaRue. I'm really glad you pointed that out.
He shuts the rag away and walking over his wounds now, just a very, very, very light seeping of blood, mostly stopped. He comes over and takes a kneeling position, reaches out and grabs a bowl of the mushroom soup from Selatami. And he looks around. Each person now being presented a small wooden bowl, like a very, very small wooden bowl, basically enough that would fit in the size of your palm, like a very small serving. And kneels down, shirtless, his scars and everything all around him. And he looks up at you, holding the bowl with both hands, and looks expectingly at you guys.
I'm gonna kneel down with the bowl with him.
Same.
I would go down to crisscross applesauce.
As you guys all sit down with your bowls, there's this general. It would be hard to put a finger on it, but there would just be a general aura of gentle and calmness kind of exuding from this guy. Like it would be hard. You would have like the anxiety and everything, whatever you're feeling about the situation going outside. But I think it would be of notice that this guy's aura has a definitive calming effect on the soul. And he closes his eyes and puts the mushroom soup up to his mouth, and in one just kind of all the mushrooms and everything kind of go down his throat in just one big gulp.
I'll try gulping it down the same way.
It's a little. The mushrooms are cut kind of big.
Mhm.
They'd be kind of tight in your throat. They wouldn't go down as easily, but it's not something as big like it would choke you or anything. Maybe have that little bit of a pinch feeling going down your throat when you swallow
Yes.
something big.
So my eyes are gonna water up some.
And he smiles, looking around at you, and it looks like this mist is beginning to very, very a couple centimeters off the ground form around the room and just slowly drifting clockwise. And he looks over to Boogie, and an undercommon says, "Let me look at the list." Well, I'm just gonna say, because I don't think it's on the list, but he's gonna begin speaking to you in undercommon in a bunch of words that you're not immediately familiar with. And it's broken and choppy. Let me check the list to see what word you would make out. Where's the list at? In pins? Pin messages. 7 stars, huh? Okay.
I do not.
Right. Uh,
Emus chose not to learn any at all. He was on your guys' shift.
Mm-hmm.
so, so you hear the words help, magic, weapons, ground. Those are the words you're able to make out as he's speaking to Boogie Calamacy. But the other words are lost on you.
Yeah, the everything that I'm gonna ask this question even though I don't know what he said at all. Did it sound like he said a paragraph, a couple short sentences, a
It
novel?
sounded like it was probably like a conjoined sentence, like a something something something, comma something something something. Period.
Gotcha.
Upon hearing the word help, once again, I'm going to look at him and I'm going to tap my chest and I'm going to point to him and say help, and then tap my chest again and point to him, trying to show him that I can help him if he wants.
So his expression currently is more engaged in the conversation, but you can tell by like the way he keeps turning his head, he's definitely keeping an ear towards the general positioning distance of whatever is going on outside. Like he's still aware of it.
So I have a theory that it might be a curse wound of some sort.
The
And
drow. Sorry.
I
Go ahead.
just don't think that basic healing would fix whatever it is with the dried rags of blood. It's been a long time, not a recent wound.
Yeah.
The furbolg turns and looks outside, and you can watch as one of the leaves from the inner kind of furnish underdark plant drifts off and begins to slowly fall towards the ground. But as it falls, it seems to fall slower and slower, and the smoke begins to spin just slightly faster. And all of a sudden, the leaf is hovering about 3 feet off the ground, stuck in position on its way to the ground fallen, and everything becomes silent. As you watch as you reach out and pull out the scroll, the drow reaches out and puts his hand on your hand gently and kind of shakingly, hoping that you don't take it aggressively. He looks over to Bezoit, who asked help, and he points to the small knife he has on his hip. And then he points to your weapon, to your armor, to Emus's bow, to his armor. And he goes around pointing at everyone's weapons and armor. And then he pulls out his knife and he sets it on the ground.
Uh, hmm.
I would like to look down at my armor and see what it looks like. Like, has it gone back to normal looking armor? Or is it still the purple fun outfit that I have currently showing?
I have fun armor.
It does not look like whatever magic you had it initially has been affected.
Okay.
That's what you're asking.
Yeah.
I tentatively look at my weapon and place it gingerly on the ground and look to him again.
Emus will pull the bow from his back, but he's going to hold it in his lap.